Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Efren. I'm a designer and I also love building DIY projects. And in today's video, I would just like to share the process of building this machine. So this machine is a DIY CNC machine. So I base the design of this one into SHAPEOKO and X-Carve. So let's go! So now I did start building the rails. So for the material for the linear rail that I'm going to use is I'm just going to use this aluminum angles. So this one is a 3/4 by 3/4 by 1/8 inch. So before I'm going to install this one, I just pre-drilled the holes for the screw that I'm going to use for fastening this angle aluminum to the rectangular steel tube. So this particular pre-drill that I'm doing, I just make the holes larger than the screws itself. This one will give me a little bit of room for adjustment. So before I'm going to install this aluminum angle into the rectangular metal tube is I'm just going to make sure that they are straight and aligned to the main rectangular tube or the metal one. So before I tighten everything, I just measured it twice so that I will not remove it again. So for attaching these aluminum angles into the rectangular tube, I am using a Tech screw. So Tech screw is a self-tapping screw, so it would be easier for me to install this one into the rectangular tube. And before I do that, I also put a center punch into the metal tube so that the screw won't go into the side of the holes that I pre-drilled, so that I can make some small adjustment. So putting a center punch into the metal tube before screwing the Tech screw makes it easier for me to install the Tech screw. And this makes sure that the screw is in the center. And after all the linear rail are already done, I then fabricated the plates. So this particular plates is going to be used for the Z-axis. And then this other two is going to be used for the Y-axis, so both sides. So the material that I'm using here is a 1/4 inch thick steel plate. So for cutting the steel plate, I just use my angle grinder with a cutting disc. So to be able to attach the frame of the CNC, I make a bracket using angle iron or a angle bar. So installing the angle bar as a bracket, I also use Tech screw. Now with the help of my sister holding the other linear rail, I can attach the frame all the way. with the linear rail is already attached and fixed, I'm now going to use this fit for this whole CNC. So this particular fit is fabricated using angle iron 2x2 with a 12mm bolt. So I also going to attach this one to the main frame using tech screw. Now that I'm done installing the fit for this whole CNC machine, I check the levelness of the frame and the rails, and then after that one I also check the verticality of the main X-axis post. And after that one I already installed the main gantry. Seeing the whole mechanism working like this is giving me a peace of mind that everything is gonna be fine. So after that all the mechanism is working, I also check the verticality or the squareness of the main X-axis to the Y-axis. So this is gonna be a manual checking. I also check if those two y-axis is parallel to each other, and also if it's gonna be square to each other. So I also check using the string method to check the levelness of each corner of the main rail. So this basically means that if this two string is touching on the center, then it's all good. Then now I'm using my steel tape to check the squareness of the main two y-axis. Now, here are the measurements for the squareness of this CNC frame. So the other part is 173.5 centimeters, and then this other part is a little bit short, 173.4 centimeters. So there's gonna be 1 millimeter of difference of squareness between these two, but then I compensated this one using a angle bracing and then with a turning buckle, so that it would be easier for me to adjust the squareness of the main frame. So now after everything is fine, I did try to move the one side of the main gantry of this CNC, and then I actually see that if I move it quick, then the other side is not moving as the same way. So because of that, I am going to change the main gantry post. I'm going to change it into a 2x4 C channel with a 1/4 inch of thickness to make it more stiffer and more solid. So after that one, everything is ready and it's time for me to paint this metal so that it will be protected from rust. Now after everything is being dried, then I install these two 3/4 marine plywood for the feet for the main CNC frame to sit on. Now it's time for me to install this bracket will hold the timing belt that I'm going to use to drive this whole CNC machine. So this is how it looks right now. Now for attaching this timing belt to the main CNC frame, so I'm just going to fix this end of the timing belt with a screw and also with a plywood plate. Then for the other side, it's going to be an adjustable, so I can tension this timing belt easily. So I use a bracket that I can readily bought from a hardware in our place. So now I can tension the timing belt easily. So the same for the x-axis, I also use the same method. So I fix the other end and then I also install the adjustable tensioner to the other side. So now let's go with the wiring. So for the wiring itself, I use a shielded wire. So this one is a 22 gauge 22 shielded wire. 4 cores because this one is for the stepper motor. So these are gonna be the electronics for the CNC machine. So first is that first is the main brain. This one is the Mach 3 controller, the USB version, and then these are the 4 stepper motor drivers. The stepper motor is already installed in the machine. And then I have the one relay, 24 volt relay, and then a buck converter or a step down converter for the fan, and then other lower voltage electronics. I have 4 aviation connector for the stepper motor, 4 of them, then terminal blocks. Then I have also here a RCA plugs for this one is the probe, and then this one is for the limit switches. Then I also have the e-stop, emergency stop here, and then for the power supply here. By the way, this one is the box that I'm going to use for these controllers. So the size is about, let me see. So let me see, I'm going to measure it. So the size is 10 by 10 inches by 6 inches. So I'll try to fit everything inside. And also I forgot the supply, the AC plug that I'm going to use. This one is an integrated socket, or how do you call this one? So it has a switch, and also it has some one fuse here, the glass fuse inside. And then I'm just going to use this one for the AC plug. And then now I'm going to wire everything, and I'll try to fit everything inside this box. So I'm going to assemble this one now. Now here is the wiring diagram for this whole electronics for the CNC machine. So I'm just going to link this one into the description below. So if you want to use this one for your CNC machine, then you can just download it into the description below. By using this wiring diagram, I just follow it because I'm not really that expert into wiring. So I just follow it and install it to the driver motors and everything for the whole electronics. So here are the power lines going to the driver, and then this wire is going to be the controller. So this one is going to the USB controller, which is this one, and then this wire is going to be the probe and also the limit switch. So this wire is going to the driver through the stepper motor. So connecting this wire, I'm just using the aviation connector. Then the power supply is at the bottom. So this one runs with a 24 volt. Then for the last part, I'm just going to install a fan in here. So I'm just going to install an AC fan. Now is the fun part, installing the wire into the controller. Now after the electronic box is ready, now it's time for me to connect the stepper motor to the wiring. So doing the wiring for the stepper motor is just an easy step. So I just connect it into the 4-cord shielded wire. So I also use a shrinkable cable so that it would be protected from short. Now this one is the moment of truth. I'm going to connect the stepper motor into the main driver. So this one, I just make sure that everything is going to work. So checking first before I'm going to solder it, because it would be harder if this wiring would be wrong. Now after everything is already done and all the wires are connected into the motor, now let's test it. So after everything is working good, I just did a quick run through the CNC machine. So I just make this G code through Vectric, and I think it's working fine. And seeing this machine doing some lettering, it really makes me happy. So this is basically the first try, and the lettering that I'm doing here is going to be first test. So I'm just using this pencil for the lettering. It's not yet perfect because the pencil is rotating alongside with the spindle or the router. By the way, for the router itself, I'm using a heavy-duty plywood to attach it into the main Z plate. Then I think that's it for this video. If you've reached this part of the video, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and see you again next time. Peace!